Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, I hope you're having a fantastic day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare. So on the weekends I like to hang out with you guys and talk about the newest makeup, skincare and beauty releases. But to do that you guys have to tag me in things because there's a lot of releases every single day. Never mind every single week. So you are so fantastic and help me to curate things. Everybody who has tagged me, DM'd me, etc. Your names are being displayed right now. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. As always, a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. You're fantastic. We're gonna hang out tomorrow 1 PM Irish time and just do a little live and just I don't know what else, maybe drink some tea and gossip. I don't know I don't know much gossip, I'll be honest with you lads. My understanding of the cultural zeitgeist is a bit shit, but I do have something pretty big to say, which was this week I hit 3,500 subscribers. And by hit, I don't mean as in like, you know, backhanded. I mean, I got to the level of 3,500 subscribers. That's a very weird way to phrase it. Anyways, that to me is a huge figure. I know that some people will be like, oh, that's not that many subscribers. To me, that's huge. That's a whole small town. We have a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker going on here, and I do not take it for granted. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed since I started off this channel, which would have been what, about 6 years ago, something like that. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. But we do have quite a few things to talk about, and you know what I'm gonna say? Hydration is key. Can you guess what's in this cup? It's tea, because some things never change. And no, I'm not going to spill any because quite frankly I have a laptop in front of me and that would be dangerous. But let's just get straight on into it. This is a sort of a continuation of something that I'd been talking about within shorts, and this is Blend Bunny and their new plastic palette. And as you're watching, it's currently available because it went on sale January 17th. It's available for $34 US, and they were kind of sneak peeking it, and I personally thought at the time that it had something to do with the substance, but actually when Maggie was kind of explaining it, it made a lot of sense. She was kind of talking about that whole journey throughout makeup, beauty, cosmetics, and the strange sort of relationship that we have with things like cosmetic surgery. So there's a lot of kind of shades that are linking in with this. She said there's hints of nip tuck, Mean Girls. You can really see that. I mean, it's called plastic and it's pink. I mean, could you get any more of like a little nod towards that? The pans are magnetic, so you can take them out, which I think is really smart. She's kind of done that with a lot of her stuff before. It's $34 US, which I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty darn good price. And she said she's tried to keep the costs down. Now you have to remember that things like multi-chromes, etc., they're always going to be quite high cost. That's just how it is. And an indie brand doesn't have the same sort of profit margins as somebody who's a much larger brand. They're not able to buy in bulk in the same way. So keeping a 12 pan palette down to $34, that's less than $3 per shade. I personally think that that's pretty darn good. And here's the thing that really got me, because if you have been living in this world and haven't been living under a rock, you'll know about the absolutely tragic, horrific wildfires over in LA. It is devastating, isn't even the word for it. And Maggie had kind of said, oh, I don't really know what to do here. Like, do I just delay the launch? But she did what I think was a very smart decision. She decided, no, I'm going to do the launch. And because this is going to be a fairly big launch, I'm going to try and use whatever I'm getting from this and put it towards appropriate funds. Now, again, remember that an indie brand has a very small kind of margin of profit. She's keeping the prices down anyway. She said that she's putting 5% of sales of this palette towards the California Fire Foundation. So this is a foundation that supports firefighters and volunteer firefighters in action, and also aids families and communities preparing for and recovering from disaster. So if nothing else, I just think that was such a good and well thought out thing to do. Like, I know there's a lot of brands that will come out with products like during times like this, and it's hard to kind of figure out whether or not you should put proceeds towards this, but I thought that was such a smart thing to do and really well considered. Now, this palette is so different from anything that Blend Bunny has done before. Blend Bunny has come under fire for kind of having those larger rainbow palettes. People have kind of gone, it's rainbow, it's rainbow, it's rainbow. This feels different. This is not a monochromatic palette. You could very easily almost say, oh, it is monochromatic because you'd see those two hot pinks. But actually, when you look at it, there's not that many pinks. You can see where she's kind of coming from with that whole idea of cosmetic surgery. There's two really interesting kind of shifty shades in there. Like, are they necessarily totally new and things that we haven't necessarily seen before? No, I personally don't think so. I definitely know I have things in my collection that could dupe that. But I think this colour story is actually really pretty. I'm also going to say Deandra Nicole did an absolutely fantastic job of swatching these. And I feel like you could really see it there, like even though it's like a £12 palette, it still feels quite versatile. Like that black is quite black. I'm quite liking it. I also feel like the video where you can see kind of the swatches in action, like that you can see the shifts, the sparkles, that kind of speaks to it quite a bit. Like I said, when she was showing the palette first, or when she was showing kind of the conceptualization of it, she had a gorgeous model and you could see a lot of pink in that look. And this is why I think a lot of people went, oh, it's a pink palette, because they were going on that look. And yes, it's pink in the sense that the outside of the palette is pink, and there's what, 2-3 shades if we're going to consider one of the kind of multi-chromey shades in there. But the rest of it is actually, there's bits of neutral in there, which I think is quite interesting. Do I think that this is super novel and super versatile? I suppose it depends on who you ask, really. If you're asking me, I'm kind of like, I have lots of stuff in my collection that is quite like this, so I personally don't need this. I, however, really appreciate the fact that this is a genuinely new direction for the brand, and it is something that people have been looking for them to do for quite some time. And the fact that the brand is out and out listening, I think that's really, really smart. This is the first non-collab that they've done in a really long time. I think that's why a lot of people, myself included, were kind of going, has it something got to do with the substance? Is that what's happening here? Is that what we're seeing? But seeing that this is coming from Maggie's own brain, I kind of love that. I love kind of that. It's almost like a jump back in time to when she initially came out with the brand. You know, they had the blends, they had the dollhouse, etc. They weren't collabs with anybody. They were Maggie's own ideas. And seeing her kind of jump back into her original thought processes and her original ideas, but giving the brand a revamp, I'm loving it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, all of the critiques that I would have given before of things like you did a launch not that long ago, just before Christmas, at the same time, I understand this because this is coming up in time for Valentine's Day, and the fact that she did kind of change around the launch date of this so that the sales could be maximized towards things like California Fire Foundation. So for me, I'm kind of like, I get it. I think this is just a really fun new direction for them. Really happy to see it. Is it necessarily for me? No, but as you guys know, I have a crazy amount of stuff. I don't need more stuff, right? But I'm excited to see the brand just diversifying and going somewhere quite new and interesting. So for me, yeah, I think this is a good direction for them. Then we have Nomad Cosmetics, and I did talk about them last week where I was just showing some sneak peeks from the inside of the palette, and now we know what it looks like, and it is available right now if you are interested. It's retailing for €56.95. It's not going to be limited edition. They did say that they're going to keep it for at least 12 months, so no FOMO here. Now, this is based upon Après-Ski in, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, Chamonix. Please say that I got it right, because I swear to God, I did research this one. I did try to find it, and I haven't done French since I was 18. So I have not been doing French for longer than that. I haven't spoken French since I was 18. So that's 17 years. No, 16 years. Oh, I aged myself up there. That is not important. Anyways, when I was looking at some of those kind of individual shades, I was kind of going, I don't really understand what's happening here. Now that I've seen it in the full colour story, I'm like, okay, I take back what I was saying. I get it. I get what's happening here. I do feel like €56.95 is quite expensive. Maybe that's just me. I just think that maybe I'm just noticing prices a little bit more, and I'm getting out of the haze of like, yay, things, because I'm trying to be a little bit smarter. Now, apparently it's infused with sea buckthorn oil, which helps to keep skin smooth, which I'm kind of like, do we necessarily need that for eyeshadows? I don't know. Anybody who's cleverer than me, more clever than me, will know what the answer is to that. However, I do appreciate that there's no parabens, no phthalates, no mineral oil, no talc, and no gluten, which is part of why you get that higher price tag of €56.95. Now, here's the thing that I'm a smidgen confused about. When I'm looking at that colour story, you can kind of see there's 3 colour stories of the pinks, the greens, and the blues. Now, if you look at the blue section up at the top right-hand corner, there's a shade there, and it looks a little bit bit more like it's like a deep dark berry, and I feel like that would have made a lot more sense down in the pink section, and that maybe having a sparklier kind of blue in there, or maybe even a deep dark blue, would have made sense. That's kind of one of the only things that's getting me. The other thing is that when I went over to their website to get all of this information, they had loads of pictures of the palettes, but absolutely no pictures of swatches, which I found really weird because I film on a Thursday and this released on a Tuesday, so it's been on sale for 2 days, but there were no swatches. I had to go over to their Instagram and they had a video which was a compilation of lots of their PR people doing swatches, and they had done a fantastic job. So I did actually steal a couple of those. The only thing that kind of annoyed me was that when they were showing the swatches, they weren't showing exactly who gave what swatches. So I'm really sorry that I'm not giving credit where credit is due, because I really couldn't figure out who was doing what. And I'll be honest with you, I probably could have done a little bit more research into that. But I have 2 jobs. I'm very tired and I did the best that I could. Seeing it all put together, any reservations that I had on it before of what are these tones that are coming together, that's gone now. I get it now. I still feel like that kind of dark purple should have maybe been a blue instead, or it should have been placed down with the pinks. They could have maybe gotten rid of that kind of beigey pink. It would have just made a little bit more sense to me. Maybe I'm being a bit pedantic. The colour story, absolutely gorgeous. You know my feelings on Nomad Cosmetics. I think they do an absolutely beautiful, spectacular formula. I don't really have any complaints with them. I do feel, again, they've done a lot of releases over the last year or so. So, you know, take that whatever way that you need it to be taken. I personally would like to see things slowing down a little bit. I say that for all brands. Maybe that's just me and my weird collectionist thing, and all of the rest of you are sitting there kind of going, Teresa, it's not an issue. Like, you don't have to get everything. I know I don't have to get everything. I'm learning that. Aren't we proud of me? It's growth, it's personal growth. But I still just feel like it's a lot of production. In saying that though, absolutely stunning colour story. They know what they're doing. They've been advancing their formula for the last 2 to 3 years. Like, I started purchasing from Nomad Cosmetics kind of towards the beginning. I was really interested in them. I loved their whole ethos and the travel, and because I'm like, you're going places that I don't think I'll ever be able to afford to go, but this is very exciting for me. I will also say, as an Irish person who is autistic, the idea of going skiing, I mean, I love the cold, but I'm also incredibly clumsy. At any given point, I am covered in bruises that I can't quite figure out where they came from. So the idea of putting me onto a mountain with snow, which has evolved to not let you stay on top of it, that would not end well. So an Irish person in particular, we're not kind of made for that. We're not made for those sort of conditions. So I'm kind of like, I can't quite relate to the idea around this. I'm not quite fancy enough for it, but I think that colour story is absolutely beautiful. I love that idea of 3 6-pans within the one. Beautiful. It's just done very, very well. No notes apart from that one little thing, but that's just me being pedantic. I think it's absolutely stunning. The price tag, yeah, feels a little bit high, but then again, at the same point, if I look at it realistically, right, I just said that Blend Bunny have, what, a 12-pound palette for $34, so it's just a little under $3 per shade, which was a good price as far as I was concerned. I'm looking at this, it's an 18-pound palette for €56.95, so that's a little over €3 per shade, so it's about maybe 50 cents more expensive once we're doing conversions. There isn't that much of a difference in it when you think about it in that way, so I'm not going to whinge about it either. I'm trying to be a little bit more sensible. Look at me, trying to engage in that critical evaluation. I think it's beautiful. I'm just not going to get it right now. I don't need it. I'm going to be clever. Aren't we proud of me, or is it just me? I'm proud of me. So I'm going to eat a biscuit for that. This next one, I'm going to say it right now. I'm excited by this, not necessarily because I need it or want it, but because I think multi-chromes are fun, but they're not always accessible to everyone. And that kind of makes me sad. I think that makeup, beauty, etc. should be accessible to people. That if you want to play with a trend, you should have those things at your beautiful little fingertips. And this is Wet n Wild, and they have quite a few really interesting looking things. And I will say, not that I have that many things from Wet n Wild, but the thing things that I do have, I really enjoy. So I have a lot of high hopes for this. This is a very curated collection. There's not a lot of stuff in it, but I think that what they have put in, it makes a huge amount of sense. So one of the things that they have is a chrome eyeshadow foil matrix moves for $6.99. Now they only have one of those, but it's a really nice one. It's the sort of shade we've seen a couple of times before. If you have any multi-chromes, you probably have this shade already, but if you don't have any multi-chromes, this is a good one to get started on. And I mean, $6.99, not too bad at all. Then they have two chrome highlighters. They're $6.99 each. One is in Venus Swing and then the other one is Too Serious. They have 4 eyeliners, which I'm going to say it right now, that's the stuff I'm very interested in. Do I have a lot of duochrome, multi-chrome eyeliners? Yes. Do I want more? Shut up. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You can't judge me for that, particularly when they're priced at $5.99 each. Right? I could get all 4 of those for $23.96. And if you're not impressed with my fast math, then get out, because I think that was impressive. They come in the shades Cosmic Seeker, Planet Disco, Superstar Suit, and Electric Prism. Now, again, are these sort of shades that we've seen before? Yes, they are. Let's be 100% honest. But for people who haven't been able to afford those high price tags of things like Cleona Cosmetics, Danessa Myricks, insert the name of 50 million other brands here, this is a great alternative. I think this is fantastic. And then the last thing that they have are chrome lip foils. There's 2 shades, Celestial Dance and Halo's Way, and they're $5.99 each. I mean, when you're talking about a whole collection here that you could get for under like $60, I mean, come on. They've also made a big thing about when showing their pictures of this is 100% unretouched, which I'm like, okay, that's quite exciting. Let's talk about that foil matrix one first. In the swatches, does it look super amazing? No, but I will say it does look like they have a highly saturated light environment there, so that all you're seeing is that purple. Now, I want you to look at the pale arm on the left-hand side. Do you see how just on the edge you can see that tinge of the green and the yellow and the orange? That's giving you the idea of the multi-chrome there. That's the most accurate thing, but you're not seeing it on the other arm simply because they're not getting that shadow in there, which is kind of what you need for a multi-chrome. You need to see that in dynamic shifts, or you need to have something that's on an edge. You know, you need like a curvature to really show that off, and the rest of the arms aren't quite giving that. That's looking really promising, in my opinion, for that price tag. And again, they've shown it on a model, and you can really see it on her face here. You can see the green to orange to purple. Personally, and feel free to disagree with me, I think that's pretty damn good. I mean, we're in January right now. It does feel like it's the longest month known to man, but I feel like particularly coming into the spring, coming into the summer, multi-chromes are just so fun to play with. People are thinking about festivals. Not me. I don't think about festivals because I try to avoid anything that has a high traffic of people. I am a very solitary, isolated person, and I like that for me. But this is kind of perfect for things like festivals without having to break the bank. It looks really, really nice. I have absolutely no notes on this other than give us a few more shades Wet n Wild, because I think this is pretty darn promising. Even when it comes to the highlighters, I want to see those, right? Because some Wet n Wild highlighters are pretty amazing. If you've been around beauty for long enough, you might remember there was a point where everyone was all about the Wet n Wild highlighters. Do you remember that? Have you been here as long as me? Am I showing my age? But they were pretty darn good for the price. And if these are kind of giving the same like level of shine with that multi-chrome, oh, I could be convinced. Like, do they look amazing on the arm? No, not really. But do you see them on the face? That's the thing that I'm interested in. That looks nice. That looks nice. Now, would I necessarily go off and blind buy these? No. Are they expensive? No. But I'm also not wanting to spend my money unnecessarily. If these come to store, which I doubt they will in Ireland, let's be real, we don't get anything nice. We're not allowed. We have the potatoes, and isn't that enough for us, quite frankly? But if these came in, I would be straight in, digging my gross little raccoon paws in it and wanting to see what the story is. I want to see what the formula is. It does look like it's a little bit gritty, so I'm kind of intrigued by this. I'm going to be looking out for some reviews on this. It definitely shows some promise, but the thing that I'm very interested in are those eyeliners. Look at them. Look at them with your eyeballs. I think probably the one that's the least impressive is like the green one, simply because it's shifting from sort of a yellow toned green to a more blue green to a teal, which I feel is not that much of a shift. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being a bit whatever. But the other shades, and look, I'll be honest, I'd probably get the green one as well, because you know me, I love green. Like, it just is what it is. I think for those price tags, $5 $5.99 each. That is not bad at all, and they look absolutely so interesting on the eye. Like even that shade that I was just talking about there, the Superstar Suit, you know what, on the eye it looks fantastic. I also just say I really love the eyeliner shapes that they've done. They're very, very pretty, very simple, very easy to do, but I love them. I'm really looking at that electric prism. It looks fabulous. Again, they're doing the whole like 100% unretouched, in which case I'm intrigued. I think this is genuinely very, very interesting. I feel like you don't hear that much from Wet n Wild, but this could like really set them into something quite interesting, because I mean it's not that often that you'll get things like this at an affordable price. Even the kind of chromy foil lip gloss things, I don't hate that. Now I'm a little bit more into the one that's on the right that has that pinky orangey sheen to it, because I feel like I could maybe get away with that a little bit better. I feel like sometimes those darker shades can make me look a little bit, I don't know, but they do look nice. Now they're saying it's full coverage, color in one swipe. I'd love to see these on different bases, right? Because depending upon, do you have a black, like a deep black lipstick underneath, you might get a little bit more of a sheen. Maybe if you have a paler lipstick underneath, you might get a slightly different thing versus wearing it by yourself. I think there's a little bit of versatility that you can see here. But even if you're looking at, say, the shade Celestial Dance, which is the deeper shade, that does look really pretty. I do feel that it's one that looks a little bit better on deeper skin than it does look on somebody who's a little bit more fair. Maybe that's me. I feel like I couldn't carry that off. Maybe I'm just bringing my own insecurities here. But it does look absolutely stunning. And the shade Halo's Way, that I think is so beautiful. I really, really like the look of that. Now, I'd love to know what the texture is, because sometimes with things like this, they can be really sticky and really uncomfortable, and just all I can say is texture is enough to put me off of things like a lip gloss. It could look absolutely stunning on me, but if the texture is wrong, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to reuse it. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but that is just reality. All in all, what do I think of this collection? Well friggin' done. Do I think that this could have and should have been done a year ago? Yes, I think it should have. But you know what? Better late than never. It's applicable to your period, and it's also applicable to multi-chrome makeup. Who would have thought? The fact that this is affordable, hells yes, I'm all for it. This will be kind of easier for people to pick up in things like drugstores, particularly if you're in America. I think for those of us in Europe, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but hey, isn't life difficult in general? We all have our crosses to bear. I like this. Do I like everything to the same level? Not necessarily, not necessarily. And it's only because I have a ridiculous collection already. So I'm looking at a lot of this kind of going, I have the gross expensive things that are kind of dupes of these, so I don't necessarily need them. But I love this for people who've been looking at multi-chromes and have been going, oh, I'd really like this, but they're too expensive and I'd have to save up and I don't want to do that, which I hear you. This is brilliant. Such a fantastic sort of a release. I feel like Wet n Wild are pretty decent in general. I'm looking forward to seeing some reviews on this from people that I trust. So let me know actually down below if anyone has gotten this or is planning on getting this. Will you let me know what you think? Because I am nosy AF. I love hearing from you guys, because I know I've had a few people like message in and say, oh, this is actually really good. You know, you're saying you're not sure about it, but this is my feelings on it. And I love hearing that, because honestly, I'm just nosy. And I think that's the most defining characteristic about me. So I did talk about this release quite some time ago when Urban Decay were talking about their Face Bond Luminizer, and we were just saying there seems to be a blush that's coming out with it, but they'd only shown one shade. Now they've shown the rest, and there's 7 shades. How exciting. And it seems that they're available from January 17th, so as you're watching you'll be able to get them. They're $24 each, which actually doesn't feel like that's that bad. Again, maybe I'm losing my mind, but the shades they have are Sunset and Vine, which is a deep tangerine, Touch Me, a vivid lilac, Wholehearted, which is a baby pink, Slow Burn, a warm coral, Fleshed Out, nude apricot, Problematic, a brick terracotta, and Back Talk, which is a mauve nude pink. Now, I'm not surprised that they did Back Talk. Back Talk, if you know anything about Urban Decay, they actually had an eyeshadow palette, which was also a face palette that was called the Back Talk palette. I have that. That's how long I've loved Urban Decay. I've loved them through their nonsense. And they had this beautiful typical mauvey based eyeshadow palette with the blush that inspired it, Back Talk. So it makes a huge amount of sense that they're kind of having that nod back to Back Talk. Now they say that this is a long lasting blush, apparently up to 24 hours of wear. Now I had said before, who was wearing their makeup for 24 hours? And I was like, is it people in the medical field? No! I had somebody point out, and I never even thought about it, people who do a lot of traveling, who are on long haul flights. Never even thought of it. So I would love to see if somebody who is engaging a lot of long haul flight, does this actually wear for 24 hours? Because I'm intrigued. I want to know what the story is. I'd like to see this brand coming back to where they once were. That's all I'm saying. They say it's a suede soft feel, a blurred matte finish, and a waterproof, sweatproof, and fade resistant oil and powder formula. Now, the fade resistant thing is very important because this is what gets me. Maybe it's just the era of the TikToks and people going, oh my god, do you see that pigment? Do you see that pigment? Yes, we see the pigment. You literally just applied it. It would be fucking weird if there wasn't pigment. Show me what that looks like in 7 hours after you've done a whole day. If that pigment is still there to at least 80% of the degree that it was when you applied it, then I'm interested. But unless you're giving me a whole day wear, I'm sorry, I don't care. Now for me, things like blushes don't tend to fade that much. That's simply because I'm a dry bee, not just in my personality, but my skin is dry as well. So that means that my oils that are in my face don't tend to break down things quite as quickly. So I find that things like blushes wear a little bit better on me than they would on my friends who have maybe more oily skin. So I'd be really interested in seeing what somebody who has oilier skin actually thinks of this, because I think they're the biggest test of things like this. The shades, actually quite nice. I'm excited by the shade Back Talk. I actually quite like that because I liked that blush back in the day. I should really root out that palette. It's probably gone off, but I don't care. It's just my face. It's not like I'm using it on somebody else's face. Do I feel like they could expand on this? Yes, absolutely. Where the fuck is the purple? You need to have a purple blush in there. I love that, by the way. We're at that point where we're like, purple blushes, because I think they're gorgeous. They look beautiful on the models. I'm loving that shade Situationship. That looks stunning on the model, if we're 100% honest. And of course I am. It's my channel. I'm hardly going to lie to you over here. I'm liking a lot of these shades. Like, they do look really, really pretty. Am I mentally adding some of these to my list? Let us not discuss that. Am I talking myself into it because I'm like, it's $24. That's not that bad, but there's 7 shades, Teresa, so that's equal to $168. That's a lot of money. Let's not be doing that. Like, let's look at the stuff that you have and not lose our minds. I'd love to see how many grams of product are in this. I probably should have looked that up, but I am unprepared and tired, so here we are. Yeah, there's a lot of shades here that I think are really, really pretty. Like Wholehearted, that baby pink. Oh, I would wear that. I would. I like pinks on me, particularly those kind of paler pinks. I'm loving that shade Touch Me. That feels very naughty. That feels a little bit like NARS territory now, Urban Decay. Did you ask for permission? Did you ask if you could have a risque name like that? It does look like it's quite buildable, which I like. I don't want a blush that's like super heavy on pigment straight away because that frightens the shit out of me because I'm very, very pale. And if I go in with blush too heavy-handed, it is hard to sort that shit out. So I quite like that. The shade Back Talk. Do you see why that was a classic at the time? Like, it looks so pretty. I really like that. Now, I'm not going to get it because I have the existing one. So I would be interested in comparing them. And by that, I mean going to a store and shoving my finger into it and seeing what the story is of the formula. Because you know how you can tell by swatching. Or at least you can if you've enough of a repertoire of stuff that you've stuck your fingers into. You know, you're like, I know how this feels, so I know how it's going to work. Sort of like, you know how when you look at an item and you immediately go, I know what that's going to feel like if I put my tongue to it. It's the same sort of thing. Oh god, my analogies are getting weirder. The shade Slow Burn. Oh, I'm loving that. And it does look like it's working across all the skin tones. Stop. The more I'm looking at these, the more I'm actually liking them. I thought I'd gone out of my blush phase, but apparently not. Even the shade Fleshed Out, I quite like that. It's a very nudie shade. It's not quite neutral, definitely not, but it's much more kind of toned back than I would have seen in the past. The shade Sunset and Vine, love that. Definitely that's for deeper skin tones, and you can see it there. It looks stunning. And finally that shade Situationship, I love that. I think that's really, really pretty. All in all, I feel like they've done this actually quite well. I can see room for expansion, but that's because I'm greedy and I love a good blush. I should have been born in the 80s, or should have grown up in the 80s. If I was born in the 80s, I still wouldn't have been able to enjoy the blush bonanza that was occurring. Maybe if I was born in the 60s. I feel like that would have worked out pretty well for me, but I would have really struggled without internet. So I guess you win some, you lose some. I'll do what I can. This is really just my thoughts coming out. Enjoy that. I think this is beautiful. I actually think the price point isn't bad. I do want to know how many grams is in that. Editing Teresa, tell us how many grams is in this, because current Teresa didn't do the research on it. Hooray! I don't think it's bad. I quite like this. Is this revolutionary, groundbreaking? No, very hard for a blush to do that. But you know what? It's not bad. It's solid. It makes sense. Then we have Colourpop. And this is quite an interesting one, because when they were showing this, they were showing, and I'm going to get the name wrong, please don't come for me. They were showing the covers of a book series which is called A Court of Thorns and Roses. I had to think there because I know the acronym is ACOTAR. And I was like, that's how you remember it, you silly goose. And they had even taken phrases that apparently come from the book series, and some of the names are kind of linked in here. But it actually hasn't anything to do with A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's essentially a nod to the genre, but not to the book series itself. This is a Shadow of Secrets collection, and there was basically no time between sneak peeking it and putting it out there, because they gave some sneak peeks and they were like, this is out in a few hours. And even when I announced it over on YouTube, I announced it within an hour of them putting the post onto Instagram, because I'm a busy person. Within about an hour of that, it was all up on Colourpop, and I was like, what the hell is going on? This is so fast. Colourpop is another brand that obviously does 5 million releases, and we don't need 90% of it. They literally just did their new moon thing last week, but there you go. Anyways, let's talk about this. It's their A Shadow of Secrets collection. It's actually quite curated. There isn't a lot in it, so, you know, thank goodness for small graces. There's the A Shadow of Secrets palette for $22. There's the Anti-Hero lipstick and lip pencil kit, and there's the Slow Burn lipstick and lip pencil kit. They're $16 each, but if you went, I like both of those lip kits, you can buy the bundle for $32, saving you nothing. Yay! They really need to learn what bundles are. They have the So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balm. There's 3 different shades. You can get them for $10 each, or you can get the Juicy Affair So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balm Trio for $27, saving you $3. Well done, Colourpop, you're learning. They have the Instant Crush Lip and Cheek Balm. There's 2 shades of that. They're $10 each. And finally, they have the Kiss of Darkness Lip Scrub and Mask Duo for $18. And if you thought to yourself, Teresa, I love every single aspect of this, you couldn't possibly make me choose, I'm gonna go and get the whole lot, it's $118. So yeah, I mean, they're kind of getting back to their old vibes of doing a release per week, and I'm gonna be honest with you lads, I'm not exactly loving it, but there you go. Let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. You know what, the colours in and of itself, they don't look too bad. The issue that I had with them last week was that when they were showing their new moon palette, I was like, what is going on with these swatches? Are these computer generated? And it did look like, maybe, allegedly, as if allegedly I'll ever get you out of anything, it did look like they had just kind of copied and pasted it from the lighter skin model. It was so fucking weird. Like, it wasn't taking into account any sort of differences in undertones. It does look like they haven't done that here, so I guess well done, I guess. But we're back to the really lackluster sort of swatches that we have historically seen from Colourpop, because last week's I was like, these actually look pretty good, so that can't be accurate at all. Look, there's individual tones that I'm like, you know what, I don't hate it. I like the tone. Who did this? I'm really into my mauves at the moment. I quite like them. The colour story in and of itself, actually quite nice. Do I think that Colourpop necessarily executes these things to the best? I mean, you can infer whatever you want to infer from that. I personally think, not so much. Not so much. I question the depth of these. They have historically not been very good at getting to a decent level of depth on people. I think there's a lot of palettes out there that are comparable in terms of their colour story that, yes, are more expensive, don't get me wrong. Maybe this is great if you're going for a budget alternative, but I think that there's indie brands out there that have better formulas, that have better colour stories, that just have done this better. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's a lot of this that reminds me of the Sinister palette that came out from Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty around Halloween. And I mean, their formula is so much better. So I'm like, heh, heh, heh. pretty easy choice. Now they've tried to include like some duochromes in there, like the shade Romantasy is an attempt at a duochrome, but even on the swatches you can't tell that. That's partly because they oversaturate their swatches with light, so they look like the most washed out ashy things that have ever existed. If this was a vampire collection, then I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, they've been dusted. Like that's what's happened here. It's very lackluster. The most interesting part of this is not the swatches, it's actually the cover of the palette. That looks quite pretty. Other than that, no, I just don't think it's executed very well. In terms of the lipstick kits, they're fine. They're quite safe. I mean, I do think it's a bit ridiculous that they're bundling the 2 lipstick sets and not putting any sort of a reduction. Like, even just bring it down to $30. Seriously, lad? This feels like shades that they have in their repertoire, which they probably do, because let's be fair, Colourpop have kind of done everything at this point. If you look at their back catalogue, they just have a whole bunch of stuff. I don't think that they're like bad. I actually think they're quite pretty shades. They're quite safe. Like the Twisted and Toxic one, which that sounds like a lot of past relationships that I've had. I feel very seen right now. They're quite nice. They're very neutral. They're very safe, which is quite ironic given the names in there. And even like the kind of design on the case of the bullet, that looks very pretty. I'm probably a little bit more into the seduction and enemies to lover things, which, by the way, that's the most toxic thing that you can learn in literature. Is like, it's like, you know, when you're in school and people are like, oh, he pushed you over, that means he likes you. No, don't teach people that. That's really unhealthy. This is why we have problematic relationships. Can we not have foundations of love and mutual respect? It's very confusing. I do think it looks pretty, but maybe I'm overthinking it and I'm getting a bit like whatever about this whole like enemies to lovers thing. I think I'm projecting. I have issues. I do like the shades though. I think they're very pretty, but I'm not going to go run off and get them. In terms of the balm sticks, I mean, they're fine. They're grand. Would I go off and pay $10 each? Probably not. I feel like the heart kind of component is a little bit gimmicky, a little bit juvenile. Maybe that's just me. They do look beautiful on the lips. I'm wondering though, when they have them on the lips, do they have like lip liners, etc. on? Because that purple one, I will say, that looks very, very pretty. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay. And even that kind of dusty pink, that's quite nice. Isn't it funny how like seeing it actually on totally changes your mind? Like the swatches themselves on the arm, funnily enough, don't sell it for me, but seeing it on the lip, I'm like, okay, grand. Weirdly, the red one isn't that interesting to me. I feel like it's a little bit lackluster, but I do like the purple and the pinky one. Then they have the 2 blushes and I feel like they're maybe a little bit too similar to each other. Like one is just a darker shade of the other. Like Ravished just seems to be a slightly more intense version of Love Interest. I think maybe they needed to have a little bit more distinction there. That being said though, kind of smart, because you can kind of see it when you see these on the models. Like the paler shade obviously works very well for a more fair model, and then when you look at the deeper shade, that looks very pretty on a model with a deeper skin tone. And that's one of the rare instances where it seems that Colourpop have actually considered that. So you know what, I'm going to give them their flowers for that. Well done, you've actually thought about that. It's not necessarily for me. I feel like that little heart-shaped component kind of cheapens things. Maybe that's just me. I just feel like as soon as you get pans in that sort of shape, it just makes me think of kids makeup. I don't know why, but it just does that for me, and I think that's such a pity. In terms of that lip duo thing of the scrub and the balm, I don't know how else to say this, but I don't care. They've been doing this a lot with their releases lately, and I don't know how popular they are. I'm pretty particular about what I like in terms of like a lip mask. I have been trying the Glow Recipe Plum Hyaluronic one. I'll be honest with you lads, it was fine, but I think it was overpriced for what it was, and I've kind of gone back to my Laneige. I'm on a chocolate one at the moment and it's lovely, but very confusing for when I'm sleeping. But I don't know. I don't think I'd necessarily go out and get this. I would wonder about how efficacious they are. You know, maybe that's just me. In all, I will say this isn't necessarily a genre that I'm very familiar with. I have no understanding of the A Court of Thorns and Roses. Didn't I do well remembering that? So I have no horse in that particular race. I know that there's quite a few people who feel very hard done by on that they're a bit like, you were sneak peeking this and you were making me think that it was going to be this IP, it was going to be this franchise, and now it's not. What's going on here? And I feel like that sort of a critique is very valid. You know, if you're so excited about a particular franchise and then they're like, no, it's just a nod to it. It's not actually Pokemon. It's about monsters that you might find in your pocket. Come on now, don't be doing that. Like, just get the IP. And if you can't get the IP, then don't link it. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that there was really, really heavy linkage with that, it wasn't just like, maybe it's linked. They used whole phrases that linked with this, from what I understand. Again, like I said, it's not my thing. I don't necessarily understand that. But I could see how people would be quite annoyed about that. Like, it's apparently a very beloved franchise, which is making me think maybe I should read it. Is it sexy, guys? Is it sexy? Because I like sexy things. I like a bit of smut. So if it is a little bit smutty, will you let me know? I'll read it anyways. I'm currently going through the Outlander series and that is fantastic. I'm on the last book. I'm absolutely heartbroken. She better get to writing another one or I'm going to have an absolute fit. Anyways, it's grand. I think a few people did point out that the eyeshadow palette kind of reminds them of previous kind of rose-toned palettes that they'd done before, which are now no longer available. So it feels like they've kind of gone a little bit back into their back catalogue and kind of gone, can we revise this sort of colour story and bring it forward? It's grand. It's fine. It's very middle of the road. You know what I'm going to say. I like my makeup collection. I don't feel like I need to add this to it. I don't feel like this would bring anything to the mix that I don't already have. Will I remember this in a month's time? Probably, only because I find makeup interesting. But do I think that this launch in and of itself is interesting? Not really. I think it's quite safe. Like, this is all very usable, very wearable, but it just isn't for me. And you know what? That's fine. This next one I'm livid about, simply because I really want to get more about face stuff. But it used to be sold on Cult Beauty and then they kind of stopped stocking it, and then Beauty Bay started stocking it, but they don't really stock it properly. I still haven't gotten the foundation and I'm very angry about that. And here they have some powders, and you know what, I'm really excited about this. I think this is genuinely really interesting. I feel like About Face's stuff have just been really well done, really curated, and this is interesting to me. It's $21. Did you hear that? $21, right? For 0.35 ounces. That's a pretty darn good price. It's a lightweight powder that sets makeup and smooths skin for a soft focus finish with up to 10 hours of breathable wear. Can I just say, I like that that's like feasible. It sounds like it's something that could occur. 10 hours. I'm like, okay, that feels like something you did probably test. It's the Curtain Call Loose Setting Powder. And I was kind of reading up on it because obviously this is the thing that I thought was really, really interesting. So it's a super fine loose powder. It apparently doesn't look cakey and provides a shine-free and soft matte finish. Now, part of why I find that interesting is they're saying it's shine-free, but it also has no talc in it. So what they've done is they've gone for a corn-based organic talc alternative. So remember when, was it Givenchy tried to change up their powder and they made it talc-free but then it became shiny? About Face have done a talc-free powder that isn't shiny. That's very exciting to me. So they have 7 skin toning and inclusive shades that effortlessly co-stars over the Performer, which is, by the way, their foundation, which I really want to have. And in case you're wondering why it has all those links with like performance, etc., it's because this is a brand by Halsey, the singer. If you don't know her, that's fine, but go and check her out. She's extremely talented and apparently has a little bit of an eye for this. This is vegan and it's silicone and talc free. $21. I mean, what else can we say here? There's 7 shades. I love that even when they're showing it, they're kind of showing, here's the tone that's going to work for fair tones, here's what's going to work for medium shades, here's something for brightening and cooling, and look at the shades that they've put in for deeper complexions. Well done, well done. I mean, this is just so beautiful. Like I said, the main critique that I have here is, why the hell can I not get this here? Because I think this sounds fantastic. $21 for a talc-free powder. Look at the shades that's there. That looks beautiful. You try and find, seriously, you try and find me a talc-free formula that isn't going to be shiny for $21. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'm interested in this. I've heard so many good things about the Performer foundation. The lovely Qianyan actually said, is it you're on your second one? Which, F you. She's like, I have an auntie that gets it from the US. And I'm like, God damn you. I'm so jealous. But she rates it, and Gillian knows what she's talking about. So I'm like, okay, it is meant to be good. Maybe I have to fly over to the States or something to get it. I mean, I'm not against that. I've always wanted to go to the States for a few days. So maybe I'll go and check out a Sephora. I just think this is so smart. This is done so well. It's so inclusive. The price point, you have to remember, this is a celebrity brand and she's kept the price point really, really good. Like I said, I've heard such good things about that goddamn foundation, and anything that I have from About Face, I genuinely really, really enjoy. I have quite a few of the blushes. I have a few of the highlighters. I have a couple of the eye paint things. They're brilliant. Like, again, I will get anything that I can from the brand. They're really, really good. They're priced really well. I'm just annoyed. I want this, but I can't get it. And even like the little tin that it comes in, that looks adorable. Yeah, I like this. I'm just mostly annoyed that I can't get it. This next one is sort of a re-release of an older palette. It's Adept Cosmetics, and they've taken their old Minka palette and they've kind of given it a little bit of a revision. This is going to be available at a date unspecified for €84.95. I know it's very expensive, but that's kind of how they are. Part of why it's so expensive is it's vegan, it doesn't contain talc, doesn't contain glitter, doesn't contain parabens, and doesn't contain BHT, and it's a magnetic palette. So you can go around to the back and like pop the pans out, which for a lot of people who are really into building their own stuff, that's fantastic. So the palette contains extremely sparkly, very high pearl shimmers, including 2 multichromes, 2 iridescent multichromes, and 2 duochromes, all of which consist of various textures. There are 5 matte shades included to complement your look, and this new formula is thinner and more elegant than the original palette. They said a lot of makeup artists and customers disliked the thickness of the old formula, and I gotta say, a brand that actually listens to their customers, well done. Love that. Now, they've also been very upfront about what the story is here. They've said, here are the shades that we've kept. So the shades that were in the original Minka palette that you see in this new Minka palette are Emma, Maya, Ava, Toya, Maria, and Linda. They said that these shades have an improved formula and may look different in the pan. However, the colour will likely appear similar on the eyes as the old palette depending on your skin tone. So they're being very upfront on that, and I personally really appreciate that. They do have new shades, and the new shades are Eliza, Anna, Dana, Joshua, Elena, Clara, Mia, Sandra, and Ariana. Oh, I love the look of this. I'm absolutely livid that I love the look of this because, I mean, it's so expensive and then I have to pay taxes and duties, etc. But it is absolutely stunning. Do I need it? No, I don't. I need to chalk myself out of it. But it's absolutely... it's so beautiful. Now, they haven't given any swatches yet because I took these pictures over on their website because they're kind of sneak peeking it. You can sign up for like when it's launching, and sometimes when they're launching things they'll give you a code for like 10% off or 20% off, which is what has tricked me before. I'm like, well, I'm practically getting it for free if they're giving me a 20% off code. No, Teresa, that's not how that works. You're still paying 80% of the price, you absolute fool. So as much as I love this, and oh, I can really even see in the mirror some of the shift. Do you see the shifts on it? Can we look at that? Look at the shifts in the mirror. Do you see the shifts? I sound insane. You can see the shades Joshua and Linda and how they're shifting in the pan. Ah, oh, no, look away, Teresa, look away. It does look absolutely stunning though. It does. But I have a lot of makeup. I don't need any more makeup. Stop looking me in the eye, Joshua. Don't you dare look me in the eye. Avert thine eyes. Look, anything I have from Adept, I genuinely really enjoy. I wouldn't have as much stuff from them if I didn't enjoy it. The thing that gives me the is that I have to pay crazy amounts of shipping. Like sometimes the shipping is as much as the palette. And I'll be honest with you lads, there have been times where that has made me almost physically sick, but I am an idiot and will go off and buy it anyways. So I don't know what that says about me, but there you go. Yeah, no, I can't be buying things and having the crazy shipping to deal with, but it is absolutely stunning. And if you are in a position to get anything from Adept Cosmetics, you have a couple of euro left over, a couple of dollars, a couple of pounds, whatever your currency are, and you're looking at this and you're thinking, what's the quality like? Anything that I've had, I really enjoy. That's all I can really say on it. I obviously don't have this one, but you look, you're smart. you're no fools. You'll go off and do your research. But yeah, I like this. I think it's very, very smart. We're getting to a point now where I think we're having sea beauty in every single episode, and I'm not against this. I'm actually quite excited about this. We have two offerings from Choiz Beauty, but I'm going to talk about one of them first because it makes sense. This is over on Sea Beauty Mall right now. It's the Cold Butterfly 10 colour matte eyeshadow palette, and it's retailing for €43.95. You get 10 mattes for that price and you get 14.5 grams. Oh my god, I love the colour story of this. It's so pretty. I know somebody said there recently, I think it was under the Colourpop videos that I did, and they were like, why is everything cool toned? I need things to be warm. And I'm like, I hear you, but I also really enjoy cool tones. So, you know, you win some, you lose some, but oh my god, these look so, so pretty. I love the outside of the palette. Do I think that that's necessarily the biggest and most important thing? No. We're getting 10 shadows for €43.95. It is on the pricier side. Let's be real. That's over €4, so that's more pricey than Blend Bunny and Nomad Cosmetics. So it's more pricey than them. Let's keep that in mind. And we are talking about an all matte formula, and mattes are not as expensive as the likes of multi-chromes, etc. However, I do feel like a lot of the Sea Beauty brands, not all of them, because I haven't tried all of them. One day I will. I feel like they've really perfected their matte formula. And if their matte formulas are like the ones that I've tried out of things like Huaxu, Girl Cult, Haggard, etc., I could be intrigued, because look at the swatches, look at the level of pigment. Now you've to remember that pale blues, those whites, they're really hard to get to that level of pigment. But don't they look good? Or is that maybe it's just me? I think they look really nice. And I love that they have those kind of springy, kind of wintry colours, and then there's a bit of grunge in there. It's just such an unusual mix. I really like it. Would I pay €43.95 for it? No. I think I would probably, if it was like €10 off, if it was like €33.95, yeah, then I would. Now I know I have a discount code for Sea Beauty Mall, but it'll only get you, I think it's a 5% off, so that's not that much. That's, how much is that going to get you off? Like 80 cents? I don't know, I can't do maths right now. It's late at the evening, but I do like that. I think that's really pretty. What's interesting though is they also have another palette out, but it's not in Sea Beauty Mall at the moment. It seems to just be on Look Healthy store, and this is their Insect series 6 color Chameleon eyeshadow palette. This is the pink moth. They have a couple of different ones in the Insect series, and this is retailing for €26.22, and there's 7.2 grams of product. There's very little information over on Look Healthy store of this, and I had to get a lot of the swatches online on Instagram, but it looks really pretty, and for €26.22, that's not bad. And it's like a similar level of grams. Like when you think about it, the bigger palette, the 10 pan palette, there's 14.2 grams, and that was a 10 pan palette, and this is a 6 pan palette, but I'm getting 7.2 grams, and you are getting two slightly more interesting shades in there. I'm kind of loving that mustardy yellow. That's kind of cool, or is it just me? There's something about that palette, and I say this with love, that reminds me of Nabla. Do you remember when Nabla were doing the Cutie series? Why did they stop doing those? They were really, really nice. It kind of reminds me of that, and I think this is very, very pretty. I feel like the price tag of €26.22 is not as bad, although it's still working out as being over €4 per shadow, but because you're getting two kind of more metallic-y multi-chromes in there, one is a metallic and one is a multi-chrome, I feel like that price is a smidgen more justified. Maybe that's just me. I think it's very pretty. Now I haven't tried Choiz Beauty, so I don't know much about them, but I've heard some good things. Yeah, they're definitely on my radar. Now I'm not going to get them at the moment, simply because I got a lot of stuff with Sea Beauty Mall just before Christmas, and then I ordered more things. Don't even ask. I cannot be trusted. I am a fool. I don't need to get more things. I know I don't, but I think they're really interesting. They're really nice. There's just more and more stuff coming out from Sea Beauty in general that I just think is worth discussing. Or maybe that's just me. Who knows? Then we have Micka Beauty Shop, and they're an indie brand. I believe they're based in France. They are bringing out their first blushes. They're called Blush Crush. So there's 4 shades. They're apparently safe for the eyes, the lips and the face. They're cruelty free and they're vegan. They're coming out January 25th at 6 p.m. CET, and they're €15.99. So I had to grab these from videos that they had, but I think these are looking really nice. Like, yes, can they expand on them? Absolutely. It's 4 shades. I feel like the price tag of €15.99 actually isn't that bad. bad. Again, when you're considering the fact that this is an indie brand, I quite like this. I feel like probably for me, the shade Peony Pop would be the most flattering for me and my skin tone. That being said, I'm an idiot and would be like, I'll try all of these, la 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 la. I don't have much from Micka Beauty Shop. I have one thing from them, and it was a palette which was a collaboration between them and Martha's Makeup, and it was really, really good quality. I feel like they don't get talked about as much as they probably should, but this is really, really nice. I do like this. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to see what the story is from consumers. Do they like the formula? And then potentially expand on that, because there's definitely kind of ways that they could go beyond this. This is obviously not an exhaustive blush list, but it's nice. And the fact that you can use it for the eyes, the lips and the face, I mean, you know me, I love a multi-use product, so I'm not against this. I think this is actually pretty darn nice. Normally they have codes as well that'll get you some money off, so you could probably get like 10% off, so it would be about like what, €14.49, which wouldn't be bad. You know, when you think about it, like a cream blush, I don't hate it. I actually think that's quite nice. Then we shift on to something that is pricey. Oh my goodness. So this is Wayne Goss's brand, and he has his overall brush collection. Like, it includes the eyes and the face, and it's available right now over on Beautylish. Should I tell you the price now, or will I just tell you what's included? I'll tell you what's included so that you can get some time to sit down. So there's 13 brushes. Those 13 brushes include a blusher brush, a cheek brush, a round blender brush, a large fluffy brush, an angled brush, a large crease brush, a medium crease brush, a medium blender brush, a small blender brush, a flat lay down brush, a medium pencil brush, a small pencil brush, and a detail brush. So you get 13 brushes. Does anyone want to have any guesses as to how much this costs? Oh, it's $497 US. Now, part of that is these are natural hairs. They're not synthetic hairs. As soon as you start going into natural hairs, they tend to be way more expensive. To the best of my knowledge, you can get some of these individually as well. It just seems to be, as counterintuitive as it sounds, a saving if you get all 13 of these. Now, I'm not going to get onto a high horse and be like, oh my god, that's so much money to spend on brushes, because I'll be honest with you, lad, I love brushes, and I have spent, I did buy a Wayne Goss brush and I actually quite like it. I know, who'd have thought? Would I necessarily tell other people to go off and spend crazy amounts of money on brushes? No, simply because I don't know what your story is, and I think you can get some pretty decent brushes for a lesser price tag. I saw over on Instagram the other day, and it kind of messed with my mind. Spectrum brushes were like, for our 2025 resolution, we're planning on getting rid of old brushes and replacing them with new. And I'm like, why are you replacing your old brushes? Like, if you're taking care of your brushes, they should last you for years. Like, I have Sigma brushes that I have had for at least 7 years, and they are still perfect. I mean, they're like the day that they were bought. The only thing that's slightly different is you can't see the names of the brushes on them anymore because they've been worn so much. I've used them so much, but they're like I initially bought them. Here's the thing, I'm not going to give out to anybody who wants to spend close to $500 on brushes. It's literally none of my business. If you have the disposable income and that's something that you're interested in, go ahead. I will also say, if you have $500 US to spare, I'll come over to your house and dance for you. I won't dance well, but like, you can give me the $500 instead and you'll get a whole show out of it. I've got some moves. But no, I totally get it. Like, I'm not going to get whatever about it because I have, so I'm not even going to count how many friggin' jars of brushes I have. Easily, I've spent maybe $2,000 on brushes over the years. So I feel like this is one of those ones that somebody's going to get, and they're going to be their brushes. They're going to be the people that are really selective on their brushes. I just don't happen to be one of those. Now, if I found out that one of those brushes was amazing, would I be the idiot who'd go off and be like, I'll pay $50 for the one good brush? Yes. Yes, I would. But I also feel, like I said, there's some really, really great brands out there. One of my favourites is My Kit Co, which my gorgeous friend Daniela introduced me to, and they have amazing brushes. Actually, YouTube community members, maybe when we're hanging out tomorrow I might show you some of their brushes because I think they're really worth talking about. But yeah, it's just not for me. I'm not saying I wouldn't spend $500 on brushes, but I wouldn't at the moment. Maybe in like 10 years time when I have I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years' time. But apparently 10 years' time, Teresa has made it and she could do these sort of things. Maybe I would. I don't know. And I'm not going to, you know, yuck anybody's yum for wanting things like this. None of my business. Then we have Bella Beauté Bar, and I have very little information on this. This is their Morally Grey 9-pan magnetic palette, and they've just said coming soon. Ooh, presumably this is for Valentine's Day. They haven't given us any sort of price points. Right, what can I say about this? I like Bella Beauté Bar. Anything that I've tried from them, I really like their formula. I do think they're very expensive, and it's tricky for me to get here once I'm dealing with taxes, duties, etc. All of that being said, I think the colour story is quite nice. You know what's getting me? Have a little guess. It's the pans. I feel like having those heart-shaped pans, and they have it so that it's removable. Where are you going to remove that to? What Z palette are you going to fit that into? Either make your pans circular or make them square. Please don't make them into hearts. Now this is just a me thing. I realise this. Maybe you're sitting there kind of going, Teresa, that's so adorable. It's so cute. It's so kitschy. I love it. Totally fair. You're also right. This is just me talking about my own feelings on this. I think that they have taken what could have been a very beautiful, complex, nice little 9-pan palette, and they've kind of cheapened it. They've gone down, God forgive me, the P. Louise route and given us these heart-shaped things. And I kind of can't see past that, even though in the video that they've shown, you can see the beautiful flips there. Like, it looks like it would be absolutely stunning, and I'm sure it swatches beautifully and it wears beautifully. If they had just made this into square removable pans, I think I'd like it more. I'm also going to say, if this is over $50, absolutely not. I've no idea what it's going to be, but I just think it's just a bit sad. And it's also making me think of chocolates, like a box of chocolates. I'm now hungry, and that was not the point of this episode, but there you go. We're now pretty much on to some sneak peeks, and I am beyond excited about this. I've only seen the outside and kind of like some little sneak peeks as to what might be on the inside. I can't wait. So this is the brand Cheeryep. Also, they go by Qianyan, Qianyan. I don't know why I keep forgetting how to spell. They're doing a collaboration with Freya 86. Now, if Freya 86 sounds familiar to you, well done you. They did a collaboration with Shall We Makeup, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was such a gorgeous colour story. I actually ended up getting it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was done really, really well. We're getting a new collaboration with her, and you know me, lads, I'm already looking at this kind of going, well then, get into my basket. If this comes to C Beauty Mall, I'm getting this. No questions asked. This is Green Serpent Rising, and I'm very annoyed about this. Limited edition. Don't come out with something that's potentially interesting like this and make it limited edition. How very dare you? How very dare you? I'm very excited about this though. They said it's bold, fiery, transformative, inspired by the mystique of the serpent. This exclusive palette combines daring shades to empower your every look. I want it. And even what has been shown of the look in the eye, that is so me. Look at that pop of bright green. I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm gonna get it. I will push everyone out of my way. This is the thing that I am the most excited about this week. Genuinely. It's my love of green, and I can see, do you see that pop of bright green in the middle that you're seeing from that palette? I have bought palettes for single shades alone, and that's the sort of single shade that I would buy. Love it. I'm so excited about that. I can see some depth in there. Yeah. And I do have some Cheeryep palettes, also known as Qianyan. I get a bit confused. I don't know if it's Cheeryep, if it's Qianyan, because it's very confusing. But I like their formula. I really like their formula. I think it's definitely one to look out for. This is happening. I'm going to get this. I haven't even seen the rest of the palette, but I am excited. The only other thing that we have to sneak peek is this from CXC Labs. They have said, we're thrilled to give you a glimpse of two stunning upcoming palettes launching this February. One is Infrared, which is a fiery continuation of our monochromatic series, featuring all the shades of red your heart could desire, from the boldest scarlet to the softest blush. And they have another palette which is Love is Painful, an homage to our iconic Love Is line, marking 3 years since Love Is absolutely essential. This combination palette tells the story of love in all of its forms, the joy and the heartbreak, showcasing the beauty in both the light and the shadows of light. I'm quite looking forward to seeing that, because I feel like CXC have kind of been really coming into their own in the last year or so. Like, are they always on the mark with things? Not necessarily, but I feel they've had more hits in terms of their colour stories over the last year or so than misses. I also, and I'm going to go to my grave saying this, really appreciate the fact that they listen to their consumers. When their consumers said, we don't like that you're using AI art, they went, okay, we hear you. We understand why. We're gonna stop. That's literally all we're looking for. That's all we're looking for. And I appreciate that. So you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing what the story is here. I'm not even going to engage in conjecture as to what it is, but I am excited. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. There were quite a few things. I thought when I was going to sit down and put everything together in the PDF, I was like, I feel like there's not that much this week. And then it actually all came together and I realised there is quite a few things. So who'd have thought it? I do have my favourite comment, and this is from the fabulous Flea Market Gold, who said, LMAO, which I always pronounce as Lamau. Lamau, watching you talk yourself into that drama palette in real time. I understand, it's beautiful. Well, we had more of that this week, of just me trying to talk myself in and out of things. And honestly, it's hard to know as to whether or not I've been successful. There have been times where I have like sat down and said, I am not going to buy this thing. And by the time I get to edit the next day, I've gone and bought it. So my resolve, it's one of those classic things. Maybe it's the Catholic in me. You know, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And the flesh apparently knows my debit card details. And that's where the true danger lies. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. We do have a Swatching Sundays tomorrow. And it's of these gorgeous Huaxu palettes. Oh my God, they're so beautiful. They're a Sea Beauty brand. I don't like that they're velvet. It does kind of give me a little bit of the ick because of the sensory thing. But the inside's absolutely stunning. For my gorgeous YouTube community members, we're going to be hanging out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Bring your tea. I'll round up the cats if I can. And we'll just hang out, we'll chat. Let's just answer some questions. And oh, I have the new Beauty Moon palette. It literally just arrived today, so I can swatch it for you guys before Swatching Sundays. I'll do that for next week. Anyways, my gorgeous friends, that's it. That's enough of a meander of an outro. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell just because it's polite and it's nice to be polite. And do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case, just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of this video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.